The AAC Report is brought to you by Blahut of Realty One Group. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, call Blahut anytime at 407-748-0484. Welcome to the AAC Report only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen.
3.3 to go. Trying to get it in. Here's Joyner. 2, 1. The shot for the win. Got it! They will look at the clock. But the fans say the time is now to storm the floor.
And time now to check in once again on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. They sit atop the American Athletic Conference in men's basketball with a 7-1 record. Joining us to do that now is the person who covers them for the Tulsa World and also one of my favorite guests now because she's a rescuer of cats. We welcome Kelly Hines to the show once again. Kelly, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on the show once again. And the Golden Hurricane on a 6-game winning streak. They have taken down some of the best in the conference in Houston, Memphis, Wichita State. What has been the ingredient that has led to the Golden Hurricane's big run?
Well, it's, pretty unexpected what they've been able to do. And I think, a lot of their success starts on defense. They've been playing really well on defense. But I think also you're seeing different guys step up. It's 3 weeks in a row that a Tulsa player has been, player of the week in the American. And, 3 different guys. So when you have, that potential of different guys being able to have 20-point nights, honestly, I didn't know that this team was going to be capable of that. So, you're having different guys take on that scoring load that, this isn't a team that shoots extremely well, and it has a lot of high scorers, so I think that's probably been the difference, just different guys developing their game.
Yeah, because I definitely have to go back and say, when we spoke a few weeks ago, I mean, if anybody would have said, hey, I have Tulsa at the top of the conference heading into February, we would have had to call them a liar, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely unexpected because, I think going into the season to be picked 10th, that wasn't really that crazy just because, there were so many unknowns. When you have a lot of newcomers, you don't know how that's going to work out exactly. And, it's worked out better than I think anybody anticipated. But even just a few weeks ago, I wouldn't have guessed the team would be in this position. And it's, I see them up close on a regular basis. So it's been, a great storyline around here. And especially, the way they've been able to win some of their games, beating Memphis by 40 points, that was crazy. Beating Houston, that game coming down the wire. And then, the win against Wichita State was obviously pretty crazy. So I think how they've been able to win has made them really fun to watch. It's not like they're blowing teams out. They've won in all sorts of ways. So I think that makes it really fun for the fans, especially when those games are at home.
Yeah, and I remember when you were tweeting during the Memphis game, after every time you would give the score, and of course the point spread was so wide, you kept putting, this is not a typo.
Sorry, I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, so yeah, you were tweeting during the Memphis game because of the big deficit, you kept putting, this is not a typo. That was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those weird games that, I think teams are capable of having bad nights. What Tulsa did at Cincinnati was a, fairly bad night. But that game for Memphis, got out of hand, and it was a really, really bad night for them. And I think it's really hard to recover from one of those nights. But it goes, the other way for the team that's on the winning side of that. Like, that can carry you for a while. And I think if you want confidence moving forward, when you're able to beat a team like Memphis by 40 points, I mean, that's just a lot of good things can carry over from that. I think we're still seeing that.
Before we talk about the big win over Wichita State, I would have to also point back to the game just before that, a tough overtime win at UConn. UConn is certainly not one of the stronger teams in the conference this year, but a road trip to the Northeast and a tough environment, and they came away with a tough victory, even after having the lead slip away.
Yeah, I think that shows a lot of growth, for this Tulsa team that, like I said, they have different guys who can, they have that ability to step up, but, sometimes that's, not a good thing when you need a play in the last few minutes, who's it going to be? Like, sometimes you need a guy to be a, central figure in that. And, for them to be able to win a close game on the road, honestly, I didn't know that this team had that kind of toughness until you see it happen. And, a lot of that comes down to officiating and just what the other team is doing. But still, I mean, that's a really solid win. I thought that was as impressive, in its own way as what happened with the Memphis game. Just to be able to, it is not an easy place to play, and those are games that in the past, I think Tulsa struggled to win. So I thought that was a really impressive performance to be able to pull that one out in overtime.
Yeah, and then this past Sunday, they get the big win at home, 54-51 over Wichita State, which has been one of the better teams in the conference. And Elijah Joyner hitting the big three-pointer to seal the victory. And I tell you what, if anybody who saw the video of the press conference afterwards, talking about his father seeing him play for the first time at Reynolds Center, if that doesn't tug at your heart, you don't have one, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that was such a surreal moment to witness, that unfold in front of you, because I didn't know the backstory with him and his dad. I didn't know that he hadn't been there before. I mean, that's just that, Elijah is kind of a private guy. He's very emotional, but you don't know that stuff. And the coaches, really didn't know until that day that his dad was going to be there. And, that for him to have that sort of performance in a game like that, hit a winning shot, I'm sure it's a great story on its own. But then, all of that about his dad and just how emotional he was about it, I mean, that got me. Like, that was, I mean, I just was like, let's just shut it down now. I mean, the post-game, it was hard to move on from that because it's like, wow, that kind of puts things in perspective. Obviously we had to move on and talk about the game, and we did that. But, for that to be, such a big part of his day, it wasn't just about the game, kind of put things in perspective that, it was just an emotional night for him and for the whole team.
Yeah, and then Frank Haith, let's talk about him a little bit. I mean, I got to figure he's got an extra bounce in his step the way this season is going.
Yeah, and, fans are so fickle. Like, they hate you one day, and then, you start to win some games, and, fans love you. So it's still a long ways to go in the season, but for Tulsa to even be at the top of the rankings at this point, it's February. I mean, that's something that I don't think, as we talked about, I don't think anybody could have foreseen that. Even Frank Haith, I don't think could have seen that coming. So, fans are loving him right now, but, things can go a different direction in a hurry, just like they went in a different direction in a hurry to get to this point. I
gotta imagine there's some I
do think this is his best coaching job. I will say that. To have this team where they are, and that's some really good coaching.
So I guess there has to be a little bit of disappointment that this team is not in the top 25, considering they have taken down 2 top 25 teams in their last 3 games, and you would figure a team that sits atop the American, which is a strong basketball conference, that team would be ranked.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit disappointing. It doesn't surprise me just because I know how hard it is for Tulsa to get that sort of recognition. But, Dick Vitale has voted Tulsa into his top 25, the last 2 weeks. That guy, I would trust his opinion. If he thinks Tulsa's a top 25 team, they're probably a top 25 team. But I think too many of the voters just look at the previous week's poll, and then, okay, Houston lost, I'm going to drop them down a little bit. Wichita State lost, I might drop them in. I think that they are too reactive to the teams that are there, and they don't look at teams that really should move into it. And I was an AP voter for 5 years. I know it's hard, especially if you're a beat writer who covers one college basketball team, you're not able to see, all of the games that you really need to see to have like a truly informed opinion. And I think that's the case with a lot of AP voters. And you try to do your research, but you overlook teams. And I think Tulsa's still a little bit overlooked. So, I think, a couple more wins, surely they'll be in. A lot of that depends on what other teams are doing. But, I think that to be, in the top 30, just to be on the outside of the top 25, that's something that with Tulsa basketball just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, so we're about to hit the halfway point of the season. UConn's up next at UCF. And then they will have return engagements with Houston and Wichita State before the season is over. Another bout with SMU coming up. So, and certainly we have known that any road games in the American are not easy. And it seems like any team can beat anybody else. Yeah,
and I think that it's going to be really tough, really for everyone to get through conference play without, a handful of losses. It's really hard to, this league is so competitive, and you see teams, teams in the top half losing to teams in the bottom half. You're seeing it on a weekly basis. So especially those road games, those are going to be tough. I think for Tulsa, the key is going to be, win those games at home. That's what they've been doing. And you got to, be on the top of your game on the road. They're probably going to slip up here or there. I think everybody is vulnerable to that in this conference. But, it could come down to those, those games near the end in the conference race. I know Tulsa's last game is at Wichita State on March 8th. I think those last games are going to be huge for, positioning it, whether it's a first-round bye or whether it's a conference race. I think that things are going to heat up, but it's just really exciting for those of us around here to even have a team that's in the conversation, much less at the top of the rankings.
Yeah, so let's talk about the conference just for a second. How do you think it's thought of nationally? It was a 4-bid team league, rather in the NCAA tournament last year. This year, we're seeing a lot of there might be attrition because these teams are taking each other out on a regular basis.
Yeah, no, and I think that's right. I think when there aren't dominant teams at the top, I think it's easier for people to be like, oh, well, that's just not a very good league. No, it's actually a better league. I think there's just a lot more parity. I think there may be teams like Tulsa that people didn't expect to be near the top. So it's easy, for people to just say, well, if Tulsa's at the top, then maybe they're not that good. But, Houston, Cincinnati, Wichita State, those teams are good. If Tulsa's at the top of the league, that means Tulsa's good too. I think that it's still not getting the sort of respect that it probably deserves. But, probably didn't see as many of the non-conference statement wins as certainly Tulsa didn't have very many of those, and for them to be in first place in the league, I think that is somewhat affected by what people think. So, but I also think if you're getting better as the season goes on, that's worth a lot too. So I think there's still a lot of basketball to be played, and we'll see how things play out, but I still think that, there are some really good teams in this conference, and anybody who pays close attention really knows that.
Yeah, so I think it was the UConn game, I think you tweeted out something that I found very interesting about how bad the officiating is in the AAC. Now, if you can see it and I can see it, and so many people I know can see it, why doesn't the league see it?
I don't know. Maybe they do see it. I don't know. I just know I covered the Big 12 for several years, and this is way worse. And I think that in this league, for some reason, that I see way more of the officials getting caught up in the moment, and just making calls that maybe at times, are okay, but in crucial moments, it's just like, man, you cannot make that call. I mean, I'm not, I would never want to be in that position to be an official, but those people signed up for it. So if they are going to make those calls in that moment, I think they need to be held accountable for it. And it's the same way with football. I think football officiating has gotten a little bit better in the American, but I think that when there are bad calls, you don't hear anything else about it after, and I think that when there's not that level of accountability, it just is going to continue. We've seen it affect games already, outcomes, and I think that's a shame because, like I said, it's already a tough enough league. When you have to compete with the officials, I just don't think that's fair. There's too much work that goes into these games for it to come down to bad calls.
Yeah, and I can even give you an instance recently when UCF played at Wichita State, and now it didn't really affect the outcome of the game, but Dazon Ingram gets called for a foul, and he didn't think he committed the foul. He runs away from the official, trying not to engage with the official, and they still teed him up. It's like, what is going? It's just totally, absolutely crazy. Well, again, we're about to hit the halfway point of the season. It's been a lot of fun for Tulsa so far, and Kelly, we'll look forward to trying to connect down the road once again as we get closer to conference tournament time.
All right, sounds great. Have me on anytime.
That is Kelly Hines from the Tulsa World. And during that interview, we made mention of Elijah Joyner's emotional post-game press conference after he made the game-winning shot, playing in front of his dad for the very first time in his collegiate career.
Man, I honestly never pictured this moment with my father being here for the first time. And I'm just so happy that he was here for this moment. It means so much for me to see him in the crowd. It just means a lot to me knowing that he was here and that I could do this in this special moment. I never pictured this. I never pictured him being in the crowd, cheering me on and things like that this far in my life. But he's here, and I'm just so happy that he's here.
Let's take a question for Coach.
Ooh, that doesn't hit you right there. I don't know what will. And again, let that be a reminder, too, that at the end of the day, as amazing, collegiate athletes are, they are still kids. So do kind of remember that and respect the student athletes as far as, the wide-ranging emotions they have. I mean, they are young and they have a lot of things going on in their lives. So that was definitely an emotional moment. And Elijah Joyner did parlay that 22.5 rebound, 5 assist game, including that game-winning buzzer beater, to a Player of the Week honor. It's the third consecutive week a Tulsa player has gathered that honor. The Freshman of the Week, Precious Achiuwa of Memphis, 17 points, 10.5 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, and 2 steals on average, and a pair of wins for the Tigers last week. In the standings as of this Tuesday night recording, the Golden Hurricane at the top at 7-1 in conference, with Houston and Cincinnati a half game back at 7-2. In the rankings, Houston is the lone AAC team in both the AP and coaches poll, coming in at number 25. Coming up next, we look at women's hoops and other conference news and notes when the AAC report continues in just a moment. Are you tired of the endless money pit of paying rent? Do you have a home you need to sell for top dollar? Talk to the Hometown Advantage award-winning real estate professional and fellow UCF Knight, Blake Blahut of Realty One Group. Blake has proven to produce results and a smooth process for his clients all across Central Florida. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, talk to Blake Blahut. Visit him at his website, blakesorlandohomes.com, or contact him anytime at 407-748-0484. Again, blakesorlandohomes.com and 407-748-0484. Get the hometown advantage by working with Blake. We turn now to women's basketball on the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network. Our Player of the Week honors go to Diamond Gladney of Houston. She had a career week, 22.5 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and 3 steals per game on average, as Houston went 1-1 and got up to 4-4 in conference play. In Saturday's 66-60 overtime win at Tulane, dropped a career-high 29 points on 9 of 20 shooting, and the sophomore added 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 steals in 45 minutes of play, and she led the Cougars earlier in the week in a win over USF, shooting with 16 points and 6 of 12 shooting in that contest. The freshman of the week, Tanaya Thompson of ECU. She led the Pirates in scoring both outings last week. That included a 71-65 win over Memphis. She averaged 22.5 points, 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal, scoring 20 points against the Tigers and 25 on the road at Wichita State. And in the standings as of Tuesday evening, UConn holds the top spot at 9-0. Tulane holding on the second spot at 7-2. And speaking of the 4th-ranked Huskies, they had an out-of-conference date with number 3 Oregon and dropped that contest to the Ducks, losing at home big, 74-56. Turning to softball, USF junior pitcher Georgina Korick was one of 50 players named to the 2020 USA Softball Collegiate Player of the Year watch list, as announced by USA Softball on Wednesday night. A week ago, Korick, the reigning 2-time AAC Pitcher of the Year, was the 3rd pitcher representing the American to be included on the preseason USA Softball watch list in as many seasons, joining Emily Watson from Tulsa in 2018 and Savannah Hebner from Houston in 2019. Also last week, 3 teams from the AAC were featured in major preseason national softball polls for the upcoming season. USF and Houston each garnered votes in both the USA Today NFCA Division I Top 25 Coaches Poll and the ESPN.com USA Softball Collegiate Top 25, while Tulsa also joined its conference counterparts in the initial NFCA rankings. All 3 teams represented the American in the 2019 NCAA Division I Softball Championship. USF was at the Tallahassee Regional, Houston at the Austin Regional, and Tulsa at the Stillwater Regional. Each took part in last season's national tournament. USF and Tulsa are tied for the most NCAA regional appearances in conference history, as each school has reached the postseason 4 times since the American was officially formed prior to the 2014 campaign. And turning to track and field, the men's track athlete of the week, Aaron Benefield of Cincinnati, placed 3rd in the 3,000-meter run at the Indiana University Relays with a time of 8:01.89. His time in the distance leads all runners in the conference this season and ranks 21st nationally in the event. The men's field athlete of the week, Ryan Davis of East Carolina, establishing a school record in the weight throw with a win at the South Carolina Challenge. His victorious attempt of 22.20 meters was the best in the American thus far this season, ranks 4th nationally. The women's track athlete of the week, Chelsea Francis of SMU, notched an impressive win in the 60-meter dash at the Houston G5 and Super 22 Invitational, crossing the finish line in 7.17 seconds. She leads the conference and ranks 3rd in the NCAA in the 60-meter dash in 2020. And the women's field athlete of the week, Taylor Scaife of Houston, picked up her 2nd victory in the weight throw this season by way of a win at the Houston G5 and Super 22 Invite. Her triumph throw of 21.28 meters ranks 2nd in the American and 14th nationally this season. As always, please follow me on Twitter at JeffAllen_88, and please like and share this podcast and all of our Knightline Sports Network shows wherever you get your podcast. That'll do it for this week's AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening.